The blizzard ended Christmas morning, but the emergency was far from over. With first responders in Buffalo and the north towns finally able to start maneuvering, the devastation from the fierce winter storm that battered the region with gale-force winds, lake-effect snow, and bitter sub-freezing temperatures was coming to light. On day 3 of the storm, desperation was growing. At least 17 people were dead, and authorities said there was no question that the death toll would increase. Some of those who died were found frozen to death in their cars. Others were found on the ground, including a Buffalo man. Sophia Clay said her brother's body was found near a convenience store at Kensington and Bailey sometime around 2 a.m. Saturday, but authorities couldn't get to him until 9 p.m. that night. Some had medical emergencies in the height of the storm, and there was no way an ambulance could get to them in time. One died from carbon monoxide poisoning from a blocked furnace vent. More than 29,000 households still had no power, 20,000 of them in Buffalo alone. As the storm cleared and highway crews were able to start clearing roads, National Grid line workers discovered the extent of the damage to the power grid. Not only had trees brought down power lines, but substations themselves were snowed in and frozen over. An 18-foot snow drift was blocking access to one of those substations. There was a very real possibility that it could take until as long as Tuesday for the lights and heat to come back on. In the meantime, the shivering souls who were in their third day without heat were resorting to huddling under blanket forts in their living rooms and warming their homes with pots of boiling water. If they were lucky enough to have gas-powered stoves, many gave up and fled their homes. Some found shelter at warming centers. Others accepted the generosity of strangers who opened their homes to them. Dozens warmed themselves at the Buffalo Police Department's Ferry Fillmore District Station. About 200 people sought shelter at Cleveland Hill High School. Governor Kathy Hochul announced that an additional 200 members of the National Guard were deployed, in addition to the 50-odd sent on Saturday, but even they were getting stuck on their way into Buffalo and needed to be rescued. By nighttime Sunday, there were scattered reports of stores being looted. Acting State Police Superintendent Steve Negrelli says law enforcement have 2 confirmed reports of looting. He called them isolated incidents and not reflective of the greater community. Plows were making first passes through the most impacted areas, but only on major roads, with the goal of allowing emergency workers to get where they were needed to most. Side streets in the city of Buffalo remained untouched. A travel ban remained in place in all of Erie County. But even as first responders were still trying to get to people believed to be stranded in their cars, some people tried to drive and ended up getting stuck, compounding the emergency. Mayor Byron W. Brown took to the radio to admonish anyone thinking about trying to drive. "I'm not asking. I'm not pleading. I'm telling you, get off the roads right now in the city of Buffalo," the mayor said in an interview on WBN radio. "You are adding to the problem if you are driving in Buffalo. People are dying in cars. That's the reality of it," he said. "And it is heartbreaking that people are driving," the mayor added, noting that some people were out sightseeing. Some of those who were stranded were rescued through connections made on a Facebook group that became a lifeline to an untold number. Among them was a Cheektowaga woman stranded on her way back from work at a hospital. A man she had never met scooped her up on a snowmobile and got her to safety. A somber Erie County executive Mark Polenkars tried to drive home how serious the circumstances still were at a 9 a.m. storm briefing. Rescue efforts were still underway, he said. Roads were impassable. The blizzard warning was over, but heavy lake-effect snow was still falling in the south towns, and the temperatures remained below freezing. This is a major disaster, and this is not the Christmas that we wanted. The brutal winter storms that brought Christmas chaos to millions of Americans will be slow to fade, the U.S. National Weather Service said Monday, after heavy snow and freezing cold caused power outages, travel delays and an additional 32 deaths in the east of the country. Most of the eastern United States will remain frozen through Monday before a moderating trend sets in Tuesday, the NWS said in its latest advisory. In Buffalo, western New York, a snowstorm left the city stranded, with emergency services unable to reach the worst-hit areas. It's like going to a war zone, and the vehicles along the side of the road are startling, said New York Governor Kathy Hochul, a Buffalo native, where 8 feet 2.4 meters of snow drifted and power was out. Made for life-threatening conditions. Hochul told reporters late Sunday that residents were still in a very dangerous life-threatening situation and warned anyone in the area to stay indoors. More than 200,000 people in several eastern states woke without power on Christmas morning, and many more had holiday travel plans canceled. Although a 5-day storm featuring blizzard conditions and high winds showed signs of abating, the extreme weather kept wind-chilling temperatures in 48 contiguous U.S. states below freezing over the weekend, leaving vacation travelers stranded with thousands of flights canceled and residents trapped in homes covered in ice and snow. 32 weather-related deaths have been confirmed in 9 states, including at least 13 in Erie County where Buffalo is located, with officials warning the number will surely rise. Officials described conditions as historically treacherous in the snow-prone Buffalo region, with hours-long power outages and bodies found in vehicles and under drifts of snow as emergency workers struggle to locate those in need of rescue. The city's international airport remains closed until Tuesday, and a driving ban remained in effect for all of Erie County. We now have what will be talked about not just today but for generations as the blizzard of 22, Hochul said, adding that the brutality had surpassed the region's prior landmark snowstorm of 1977 in the intensity, the longevity, the ferocity of the winds. Due to frozen electric substations, some residents were not expected to regain power until Tuesday, with one substation reportedly buried under 18 feet of snow, a senior county official said. The NWS earlier warned that blizzard conditions in western New York's Great Lakes region had continued into Sunday, with additional snow accumulations of 2 to 3 feet through Sunday night. One couple in Buffalo, across the border from Canada, told AFP Saturday that with the roads completely impassable they would not be making a 10-minute drive to see their family for Christmas. It's tough because the conditions are just so bad, a lot of fire departments aren't even sending out trucks for calls, said 40-year-old Rebecca Bortland. The storm forced the cancellation of nearly 3,000 U.S. flights on Sunday, in addition to some 3,500 scrapped Saturday and nearly 6,000 Friday, according to tracking website FlightAware.com. More than 1,000 U.S. flights had already been canceled just hours into Monday, the website reported. Travelers remain stranded or delayed at airports throughout Christmas Day, including at major hubs in Atlanta, Chicago, Denver, Detroit, and New York. Road ice and whiteout conditions also led to the temporary closure of some of the nation's busiest transport routes, including the cross-country Interstate 70. Drivers were being warned not to take to the roads, even as the nation reached what is usually its busiest time of year for travel. The extreme weather has severely taxed electricity grids, with multiple power providers urging millions of people to reduce usage to minimize rolling blackouts in places like North Carolina and Tennessee. At one point on Saturday, nearly 1.7 million customers were without electricity in the biting cold, according to tracker poweroutage.us. The figure dropped substantially by Sunday night, although more than 50,000 customers in eastern states still lacked power. The fierce winter conditions are also taking a toll in Canada. A weekend bus rollover in British Columbia that was believed to be caused by icy roads left 4 people dead and sent 53 to the hospital, including 2 still in critical condition early Sunday. Hundreds of thousands were left without power in Ontario and Quebec. Many flights were cancelled in major cities and train passenger service between Toronto and Ottawa was suspended. Road and utility crews faced the task on Monday of digging out and restoring some normalcy around Buffalo, New York, where a blizzard considered the area's worst in 45 years buried snow plows, stranded motorists in cars and killed at least 30 people. The lethal blizzard took form late on Friday and pummeled western New York through the Christmas holiday weekend, capping an Arctic freeze and winter storm front that had extended over most of the United States for days, as far south as the Mexican border. At least 30 people have died in U.S. weather-related incidents since late last week, according to an NBC News tally, while CNN put the total number of fatalities at 26. The Greater Buffalo region, lying at the edge of Lake Erie near the Canadian border, was one of the hardest-hit places. Numbing cold combined with howling winds and heavy, lake-effect, snow, the result of moisture picked up by frigid air moving over warmer lake waters, produced a storm that Governor Kathy Hochul said would go down in history as the Blizzard of 22. The storm's official death toll in Buffalo and elsewhere in Erie County climbed to 13 on Sunday, and was expected to rise as more bodies found in snow drifts or buried vehicles were examined and confirmed as weather-related fatalities, authorities said. The governor called it an epic, once-in-a-lifetime, weather disaster that ranked as the fiercest winter storm to hit Buffalo, New York State's second-largest city, since a crippling 1977 blizzard that killed nearly 30 people. The latest blizzard, which initially overwhelmed emergency crews, came nearly 6 weeks after a record-setting but shorter-lived lake-effect storm struck western New York. Despite a ban on road travel imposed since Friday, hundreds of Erie County motorists were stranded in their vehicles over the weekend, with National Guard troops mobilized to help with rescues hindered by blinding whiteout conditions. Authorities were expected to decide Monday morning whether to extend the ban. County Chief Executive Mark Poloncarz told reporters that snow drifts as high as 8 feet on roadways were too thick and heavy to clear with conventional snow removal equipment. Many snow plows, tow trucks, ambulances and other emergency vehicles dispatched on Saturday and Sunday became stuck in the snow, and we had to send rescue missions to rescue the rescuers, he said. The Buffalo Police Department posted an online plea to the public for assistance, asking those who have a snowmobile and are willing to help to call a hotline for instructions. He said one electrical substation knocked offline was sealed off by an 18-foot-tall mound of snow, and utility crews found the entire facility frozen inside. At the request of state officials, Hochul said, local power companies had pre-positioned some 7,000 utility workers ahead of the storm on Friday, but blinding, drifting snow had made it difficult for crews to reach stricken equipment. Efforts to clear snow-clogged roads were likewise stymied. It is not a matter of resources, bodies and equipment, it is a matter of mobility and access, Hochul said. Hochul told reporters on Sunday that the Biden administration had agreed to support her request for a federal disaster declaration and she expected formal approval shortly. While the official blizzard warning for the Greater Buffalo region was lifted on Sunday, officials warned that blizzard-like conditions persisted in some areas and that more snow was in the forecast through Tuesday.